Welcome, everybody, to Fly Nubian Money. I am Lala, international real estate agent, and I am your host for today's episode. Woo! Y'all get ready? Get your fans out. Get your tamarines together. Get your fingers ready for keyboard talking, because we are talking about a complex and a very diverse topic. What does it mean to be Black enough? We are seeing more discussions about who fits into the Black community and isn't quite not like us. And today we'll explore that, playing out the figures with Drake and also Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, recently, Trump and his running mate, JD Vance, took jabs at Kamala Harris's racial identity, questioning her Blackness and labeling her as a phony. Meanwhile, rapper Kendrick Lamar has accused Drake of being a colonizer due to his Canadian roots and diverse cultural influences. Now, is this just another way to divide us? But before we move on, I want you to introduce to you my co-queens, my beautiful co-queens. Can you see we got all of these beautiful ladies on here? Joining me today is Athena Gardner, CPA and wealth coach, Dr. Lene, monetization strategist. I love saying that word, monetization. And Constance Carter, wealth activist. I love that word too, wealth. And then we have Tiara Williams, actress, producer, and boss. Hi, ladies. So glad to see you here today. We got a hot one. I hope y'all ready to just have this discussion. Before we move on, I want to share two TikToks with you guys, and then I want to get your initial reaction. So let's go ahead and see. Let's kick this off with these opinions of people. It's almost there, y'all. Be ready. Okay. Well, this is what we're talking about, but we're going to get right into the video. This will be brought into, because look at this. We already got these issues going on. So we will be discussing that article. That article discusses how these two people, Kamala and Drake, are being called out about their backgrounds. Is it common? Is it them just trying to decide what they want to be at a certain time? And is it right for us as the Black community to call them out about what they're doing and when? So while we're getting those queued up, I do want to get some initial thoughts from my queens. So I'm going to talk to you first, Dr. Lene. Knowing what you know about Kamala Harris and also Drake, what is your initial thoughts on if this is the correct way that they're being presented to the world, or is it something that we are doing within our own community to cause division as well? Do we play into this?
Oh, we absolutely do. We look at people and then we judge their Blackness and a variety of different things: how light skinned they are, how dark skinned they are, where they grew up, how they talk. I got the little Valley Girl thing going on. So I used to get teased when I was younger. I'm nice and chocolatey. They used to say I wasn't Black. And I am Black. I got two Black parents. How I'm not Black? Well, you talk like that. So if you talk a certain kind of a way, you're not Black enough. If you grew up in a certain area, I think when we're saying somebody's not Black, we're talking about their experience. You don't have the same experiences that I have, so you're not Black. Black Canadian versus an African American versus a Jamaican American versus a African Frenchman. Like, we're all Black people having different experiences. Yes, okay, the Canadian experience might be different, but I think as we saw with these recent Olympics, whether you are Black in America or Black in Paris, they still don't like you.
I have to agree with you on that. And one thing that I say about that is true. Like, even in politics, I don't care what color you are. If you from Canada or you from Portugal or you from Africa, don't talk to me and tell me how my country need to be run. Okay? You worry about yours. So, that's where I have the problem with Drake, but not so much other aspects of that. What about you, Tiara? What are your initial thoughts on how this is all playing out and how this now has become like mainstream media again?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just how people use their Blackness, right? Are you using it as a weapon? Are you using it as a tool? Are you using it to get ahead? Are you using it to pander to us? Like, what are you using it for, right? And so we do have an experience. I agree 100% with what Dr. Lene said. And I think that if you are insensitive to that experience, it can be hard to embrace you as one of us. Like, when I look at Kamala and Drake, certain aspects of them make me think they are not like us.
That's very interesting. Well, I'm going to throw a kink into this question as well, Miss Constance. Well, why do we accept Tina Marie? Blue-eyed soul.
Ah,
Okay,
that's
what's
crazy.
your initial thoughts? What? What's your thoughts?
Hey,
What's good to love?
That's crazy. Well, first of all, I just want to say I'm not going to ever allow no white person or any other ethnicity to tell me who's black and who's black enough and who ain't black. So first of all, when it comes from them, they have no say over who's black and who ain't. So I'm going to accept all black people from the diaspora as being black. They made up the one drop rule, not us, and we had to abide by that. We had to live by that. And even there were even people who could pass for white but wanted to make sure that they kept the culture of our community and who went through the trials and tribulations of being black, even though they could have taken the easy route. So I wouldn't say, and this is all fairly new, because in the past, black was black was black was black. This, I think in 2024 is when I'm seeing the biggest separation of who black, who ain't, who's black enough, who's not. And let me just tell you, I've never not been accused of being black. I've always been blackity black. And my mom is super duper high yellow, and she is the blackest black person that you would ever meet. So, it's I just don't accept all the separation amongst us. I think we black.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And you bring up the fact that we do have a lot of people in our culture who could pass. And if anybody doesn't know what that means, is you're light complected. It's so much light that you can pass for white that you shut out the black part of your life to go live that life. And that has been done in our culture. Lena Horne, on the opposite, you think about Lena Horne, she fought so hard to prove she was black that other people was like, no, just go on and pass. A lot of times she was like, no, I'm not going to do it. So, we have that experience to pull in too, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. All right, Athena, I got to know what you're thinking about this. Do you think this is something new? Do you think that they're picking and choosing their blackness?
I don't think it's anything new. I think, especially when you're biracial or multi-ethnic, there's different processes or thought processes as far as you identify. From the people who I know who have multiracial children or themselves are, it seems to be the home or environment or parent or culture that they're in the most is what they would identify with. However, I notice when the children have a black parent, even though culturally and behavior wise and what they do, they're probably aligned more with the non-black parent, they'll still say that they're black because they don't have the luxury of not doing so because their skin color, their hair texture, or whatever will kind of give it away. So as you see when the stats come out in the future, furthermore in the episode, you will see why that is. But I'm kind of tired of always having to think about race, y'all. I was like, listen, can't we just do what the Chappelle shows did and we just have a racial draft and we decide who black and who not black, and then we can just keep it pushing.
But you know what? I'm glad that you brought that up because there is an interview that Wayne Brady did, y'all, with Questlove. And Wayne Brady loves everybody. And Paul Mooney, which is a very famous comedian, made a joke about him saying that he wasn't black enough. And Wayne Brady said, I don't mind you making fun of me. He said, but that was just distasteful. And so much so that he kind of dismissed Dave Chappelle and all of them because of that joke. And when Dave Chappelle found that out, he literally pulled Wayne Brady in, and that's where we get that skit where he was like, does Wayne Brady have to slap a bitch? And now all of a sudden people loved him. And he said, then all of a sudden I started getting comments from black people like, we love you. And it's like, okay, we're a little fickle with this. Where are we going with this? But now I do want to queue up. Oh, wait. You guys, guess what you're watching? You are watching Fly Nubian Money. We are here Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the best of the best conversations, and we have the best of the queens, whether they're here or here on another day. You want to come in and see all of us, so you don't want to miss an episode. Make sure that you text the word queens, QUEENS, to 87948. I got that. I say that in my sleep, y'all. So then you have to now, y'all have to use your phone to get on up in there, right? You're going to get a text message whenever we go live. If you've missed any of our episodes, go back and watch them. But you also can take us on the road by downloading us on Spotify. So go on over there and download Fly Nubian Money there. And one thing that we do want, because we are queens and we like to uplift other queens and kings in our communities, is we give you some really great tips on how to get your financial house in order. There's one thing about our community that we can always improve, and that is money. So make sure you go on over to flynubianmoney.com. We got a lot of classes and resources there for you. So make sure you do that too. Keep the comments coming. We're going to talk about them all. But now I want to go ahead and queue up these videos, and we'll get back into the discussion.
Am I the only one confused why everyone is forgetting that Drake is black? Drake has a black father and a white mother. He is a biracial human being. I don't even think it's the fact that it's biracial parents. I think there's this idea that if black people don't reach this certain arbitrary metric of blackness, that they are considered black. You can even see this when there's a person with two black parents. If they don't reach this certain idea of blackness, if they aren't aligned with enough of the culture, then they aren't black. Although as a culture we laugh at this is a very self-deprecating idea, because what it does is cause more division and less unification in a community where we already see a bunch of those things. So when it comes to this idea of blackness and Drake not being enough of it and he's pandering towards it, it really makes no sense, because he's just been himself. He's just been a black and white person. I don't understand why that's not enough to be black.
That's a very interesting thing, because we did bring in a couple of aspects on the black experience. So Tiara, how do these discussions, especially the ones that we're having here about racial identity, how do they affect the broader understanding of blackness, both culturally and politically?
Yeah. It's so interesting that the people that are in these places, right? It's so important. Okay, I'm just going to use Kamala as an example, right? During her rally just recently, she had Megan Thee Stallion there performing. And, Megan has done so many things outside of that. I'm talking about Megan give away scholarships. Her philanthropy is off the chain. She is building a nursing home, a mental health care online service. I mean, Megan is killing it. And she's graduated from college. There's all these things. But the only thing that was celebrated is Savage and that performance. And it's like, when we get okay, so what I'm trying to say is, sometimes when somebody is trying to prove their blackness or prove that, they're with the people, it feels like they go to the most stereotypical thing, especially if they have a large platform, and use that and be like, see, I'm black. Look, I've been eating hot sauce and eating greens and collard greens and cornbread on, you know what I mean? Like, it's so frustrating, right? And so when I watched it, I kind of felt like that. I mean, you said something about a political stage, and just like, I just feel like sometimes when I'm watching Drake, and sometimes when I'm watching people who are still trying to figure that part of them out or prove a point, they go to the extreme of who we are, and it ends up embarrassing us. Well, I was embarrassed. I don't know about you. I mean, not embarrassed, but you know what I mean? Like,
Embarrassed.
It's embarrassing.
If that was your reaction, that's exactly what it is. I mean, there are times that I cringe.
It was cringy. Cringy, y'all. That's
there are times that you're like, you do check yourself, even within your own communities. 'Cause I'm sorry, guys, I can't stand Candace Owens. She's not blackity black enough for me. I'm sorry. I
think anytime you're pandering, it comes off as stereotypical.
That's it.
Nothing to Tiara's point, nothing against Megan as an individual, as a human being, as a person, as an artist, with the things that she does.
Absolutely.
That just might not have been the platform for it.
Why do we do that? Like, why do we do that? And it comes off inauthentic. And I think that's, I'm gonna be quiet, but it comes off inauthentic. And I think that's my issue with Drake and Kamala, right? It's like, right? She might be like, hey girl, sister girl, sister. And then when it's time for her to advocate for us in those rooms, I don't believe she'll do it in my heart of hearts. And so that's my issue with Kamala. Am I still gonna vote for her? Man, but it's still like, I just don't think, I feel like there's game. I'm being pimped, kind of. Like, I feel like that. I don't believe that she's gonna do it, because there's a quote. She says, "I'm not gonna do something that only benefits Black people."
Wait. Read
No.
the no. You got to watch the whole video, because that's not the whole thing that she said. But people keep taking that part out of context, because it was a whole video.
Well, here's the thing. I know that here's the thing. She's kind of shown me that, I mean, I'm gonna just wait to see, the full range of what her politics are. But I just don't believe it, Constance. Like, I don't believe when she gets in those rooms that she's gonna advocate for me. I just don't
But this
believe
is the thing.
it.
This is the piece. Whenever somebody says that, I always go to this. Who is? Joe Biden wasn't going to do it. Trump ain't going to do it either. So I never understand why we want to hold somebody else higher calibered to, and we're not holding these people to the same thing. So because she's Black, because she looks like us, she should go in there and do something that nobody else does for us. That's what we're basically saying.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's the point of it. Are we going to have no expectations? When are we going to?
No, we should have expectations, but should we have more expectations for her than we do anybody else?
I'm not asking for.
No president is for us.
I'm not asking for more. I'm not saying like, okay, you need to get in there and change everything up. But there is, I mean, do we not? Again, I bring up the LGBTQIAELMNOP. I bring up them all the time because they have been able to advocate. Baby, they've been able to mobilize, and they get people on board. It's like, if I'm
that part,
money,
you said it though. They've been able to. They push their agenda.
We have the Black Caucus. We have people that are representing us as well. And then when you talk about her talking one way, we all got a code switch with sis. We all got to talk like we talking right now, but we know how to act when we're in other rooms. So
which is a whole conversation unto itself.
It benefits us at some point. That's all. I'm open. I'm still gonna vote for the lady, but I'm saying as long as it benefits us.
Your concerns are completely valid. Yeah. They're valid. Yeah. They're completely valid. I think we all have asked that behind the scenes. But here's the thing. Sometimes I feel like we don't need to be saying that out loud. You understand what I'm saying? These are conversations that we should be having behind closed doors, because the white community, or the people who don't like us, who are truly not like us, really love to see us divided. They love to separate us. Right? So these are the things that we have to tackle within our own community. That's just my own thought. But Constance, I want you to talk about that video in the context that you said everybody takes that one context. I want you to please explain that video.
Yeah. So it's been a couple weeks, but there was that video was an excerpt of something that she was saying, which was totally taken out of context. And if we can find that video, go in and just show the part like right before that, and then show that part of the video, that will be great, because she wasn't saying that she wasn't only going to help Black people. I forget what she said, so I can't even speak to that, but it made a lot of sense, and that was totally taken out of context. But it was right before she said that. But people, they just cut that little part out. But going back to what you guys were talking about in terms of like, being Black enough. And I find it so interesting. And I do believe this is a very, very new thing in terms of like now calling people out because like a Drake or a Kamala. Now I know, when we grew up, just like Lene said, I wasn't Black enough because maybe I spoke proper English, but I'm just thinking about like my grandmother. She was born in 1912. On her birth certificate, it said mulatto, right? On my mama's birth certificate, it said colored. On my brother's birth certificate, he was born in 1968, it said Negro. On my birth certificate, it said Black. On my kid's birth certificate, it said African American. But we all Black at the end of the day. So all of these things are just labels, and we might have other things in us. I did my ancestry DNA. I got 30% European in me. Does that make me any less? You couldn't tell me that I'm not Black. There's nothing. So does that take my Blackness away because I got a little slave master blood in me? So when we start to tell people who can be Black, and we start, I think it's very dangerous, and it's also very divisive.
Extremely, but I think that's their whole agenda in the first place. Because see, whenever they cause a problem, throw them this little problem and let them fight over amongst themselves what's to do. Then they're up here doing whatever they want to do while we're still fighting over dumb things. You made the rule that we got a 1-drop rule, okay? That's your rule. Now all of a sudden, oh, we're gonna change it up. Obama's not really black because his mama's white, and now all of a sudden we got a whole nother people arguing over things that don't make no sense when your rule was we are black. This is great. I'm so glad you pulled this up. Famous people who are half black. And what is this half shit? I'm tired of it. I'm so sick of this half.
We black. Stop all that half.
Oh, this just really, this just gets my craw. So listen, yeah, okay. This side is white and this side is black.
But when they get pulled over by the police, what are they? What would even Drake be if he got pulled over by the police?
Exactly. Now, Athena, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, they're saying that Drake is a colonizer. You're really good at our pop culture, but you also have experience with coming from different country background as well. And is this something that you have faced as well? Because you too, my darling, are beautiful Coco.
I think that, all right, I want to be able to say what I want to say and still be loved. Okay. Dr. Frazier taught me that phrase. Okay. So I think the issue is there's a colorism aspect, right? So like dark skin and to me, colorism is just racism that we practice within our own group. But there's also xenophobia and ethnicity and nationality brought into the mix. And I think that when you are not, especially in America, Black American specific, it presents a problem because there's a lot of, feelings and resentments about how, you're coming over to our country and taking our resources and not giving us proper respect, which I think is mostly those sentiments that keep popping up, which, I would never diminish the validity of those sentiments, because as someone of a different immigrant group, there are people within that immigrant group that do not appreciate or have a lot of respect for Black American people. I've been in the rooms and I've heard those conversations. So I'm not going to be on here and act like that doesn't happen, because it most certainly does. I do think that when it comes to race and everything that's happening within our group, it just saddens me because we can just never move past that focal point. And because we can't move past that focal point, we can't advocate for ourselves in the way that we need to.
Yeah, I agree. It's like an internal conflict all the time. Sometimes you feel like you're fighting 50,000 dragons behind you when you got the fire in front of you. I want to address some of the comments that we have, because we absolutely love that you are here and we love that you're a part of the conversation. Silverback 704 says, well, in Drake's case, I give him credit because he has one Black parent. Kamala Harris has no Black parents. Her father is Irish and Indian. She has no ties to African American whatsoever. Okay.
That's fake news.
Thank you.
That's fake news. Her dad is not Indian. And what are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to.
So I want you to Google whoever said that. I want you to
Google it.
Google that shit. That's the name. GTS. Google that shit.
I don't know. Her dad looks pretty Black to me, and he's from
That's the case, Athena. You ain't Black either, right? You from Jamaica, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
well, no, he didn't say nothing about Jamaica. They said they be making up that stupid ass shit.
Okay. I love it.
There are other ethnicities in Jamaica, but they constitute 10%. Her dad, based off the picture I saw, looks like a very much Black man. He's from Browntown, Jamaica. He's very, very much Black area of Jamaica. So I don't know. But even if she wasn't, right? Even if she wasn't, no, her dad is definitely Black.
Okay, so yeah.
I have a question, Lala, really quick, because you said something about Candace Owens not being Black enough. And I thought it was so good that you said that, because it's an example of like the intention of people. Like, I think what we're talking about is intention. Like, what is your intention? What are you trying to do here? Like, what, right? Because there's certain people that we embrace, but there's certain people that we do not. And why is that? Why don't y'all accept Candace as Black?
Because she down talks Black people.
She does everything she can to destroy our community.
Everything.
But there's a lot of Black people like that, and I feel like they are not like us,
they
right?
Uncle Ruckus is too. So
Uh-huh.
I mean, Uncle Ruckus ain't really
But
look, this comment over here with the person who said that her dad is of Irish ancestry. I am too. Am I not Black? I mean, this is he owns slave. Yeah, I had a slave owner that raped my great grandmother too. Like, it's what happened during slave time. Like, people are so uneducated about the history of slavery and the mixed race of people in the world. It just blows my mind. And
I know, like, we have a choice to go back and be like, don't do that, because it might cause problems 500 years from now.
That's what the Republicans are like. Well, her great grandfather was an Irish slave owner. Yeah, and he raped his slaves to produce her.
Duh.
Right.
I was on Ancestry one time, and this white lady was trying to connect with me, and she's like, I just want to see how we're related. And I was just like ignoring her. She kept DMing me. And I finally said, listen, lady, one of your great grandparents raped one of my great grandparents. That's how we're related.
Did she still try to talk to you?
No, it was not a love story, babe.
But did she still try to talk to you?
That was the last of that conversation. She never get back to me after that.
So Too Groovy says, I quote, in the United States, people who are considered white are generally those who have origins in Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa, which, by the way, y'all, don't forget, stupid Musk calls himself African American, okay? Elon Musk, because he makes it a joke. You see what I'm saying? Exactly. Dennis Spraggin says, nowadays, if a person checks their family history, a little of everyone's multicultural. I believe if they identify as Black, then the more the merrier. That, I think you probably are in the minority, but I am not fighting you, sir, at all. Silverback says, it's really not difficult. It's really simple. Kamala, please be respectful and spell her name correctly. She is our vice president. Kamala Harris is a fake. Interesting. All right. Somebody said Megan is a joke. And then Double A said, Silverback, stop it. Jamaican is Black. So you see, we even still have a variety of conversation within our own. But now I want to pull up that video that we were discussing earlier about Kamala and the quote that is usually taken out of that video. So you get ready, because some of y'all might be like, what? But then we're going to listen to it anyway. Here we go. I think.
I think.
Yeah, there it is. I'm throwing people in the background for a loop. We can just look at all these comments because I'm pretty sure they talk about the same thing we are. Okay, well, we can cut back to that in just a minute. So if you are watching us now, I'll give you some time to work on that. We are Fly Nubian Money. We are here Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you don't want to ever miss another episode, because you see, we talking real truths about what affects us in our community and how the world is also acting on this topic as well. You want to make sure that you text the word Queens, QUEENS, to 87948. And then, guys, if you think that you got what it takes to come on here and talk with the queens and debate and still have fun and still love on each other up here, come on, email us. All you got to do is email us at info@realvirtual.net. I'm going to spell that, okay? info@REELVIRTUAL.net, okay? So if you think you got what it takes, come on, we ready. So, Dr. Lene, in the article that we were discussing earlier about Kamala and Drake, and people attacking them, it seems that the other side finds this to be a weakness from them, trying to make it a problem. Does this seem like they're using this as a weapon to use against us as a community and to show that we're not worthy of these positions?
I don't think it's a weapon to show that we're not worthy as a community. I think it's a weapon of distraction, a weapon of confusion, a weapon of take your eye off the prize. I think it's that. And I think we fall for it. What do they call it? The banana in the tailpipe? I think it's that, right? I think it's that the rest of the world knows that we ourselves are having these kind of inter-community conversations. We don't know. We're trying to figure it out. And so they throw these things at us to make us have these thoughts. But to your point, on the other side, we also know that we're overqualified. We go above and beyond, and yet they feel and think that we don't deserve it. So I think it's a two-part, right? It's their ability to understand, recognize, and know that we're worthy and worth it, and that we are overqualified for the bare scraps and minimums that they show us. And then they try to trick us by saying, well, she's not even Black anyways. Well, who are you? I always say, who gave you the wand? Who gave you the black wand? You definitely are not Black. So how do you get to call and say who is and who is not?
Exactly. Like, your perception of me is not my reality. You know what I mean? That is whatever it is that is not my reality. It's whatever you want to put upon someone else, which is not your place. So Athena, do you think that there's a difference in how we perceive Blackness in the United States compared to other countries, especially with Black populations like Canada, the Caribbean, Brazil? I do know when I'm in Portugal, they don't care. They celebrate everyone, and they kind of look at you like, if I were to wear my shirt that says blackity black, they're like, okay. It's not something that's a problem. But do you see that this is some kind of a unique thing in the United States that we make it a bigger issue than other countries?
I would say yes. I would definitely say yes. I think I told you guys the stories. I never had to factor in my race or skin color as meaning something until I moved here, and I was adopted in Black American culture. And I was like, oh, and a lot of the things that were associated were negative. And it's to the point where, I wish that I didn't have to think about race as much. I actually when I went back home to visit in Jamaica this summer, I actually liked just being there because it wasn't even anything as a factor. I think, especially in those countries, so like Caribbean, Brazil, all those other places, I think they understand they have bigger fish to fry than race, more like class and who has money, who doesn't, and how to get resources and stuff like that. Race is on the back burner, but I think there's something unique about the Black American experience where you cannot think about it, to be honest with you. And then I, as a person, had to learn Black American history in particular, and then Black history before slavery, to put everything into context as why, and then also the things that happened like Tulsa and all these other things that were very specific to Black Americans, to put that in a proper context, because it kind of can come across as why they keep complaining and focusing about this? Don't we have real things to talk about? But you need to understand historically why. Now, I felt the need to do that work, but to be honest, most people are not going to do that. Black immigrants are not going to do it. Most Black immigrants are not going to do it. Other people are not going to do it. But I felt it was necessary to kind of understand, Black history and all its context. And it's hard to do that without definitely learning and understanding Black American history.
Agree. Now, we have a pretty good comment, and then I'm going to agree with it 1001%. Sylvan says, this is all divide to conquer initiative, and we fall for it all the time. I have to agree with that. Mike Diesel says, Black isn't an experience. Being Black is a reality. Well, I throw out Tina Marie, and what about Bobby? What's his name? Caldwell. I mean,
listen,
y'all.
Listen, those are people that are invited to the barbecue, to the cookout. I think that's different. Sharice the realist at 10:33 a.m. had a comment, and she said, "It's not a trick. The issue is that she is not a true Black American woman like me. To try to connect her to us is not right." And I think that's something completely different, because what we're saying is, the Black Canadian experience is different from the African American experience, which is different from the French community is different, which is different from the African. So we're segregating ourselves based on where you lived and where you grew up as not being Black. These are two different things. If you are Black, you are Black. You may not have the same cultural experience based on where you live, but you are still a Black person. You are still of African descent. I think we're having two different conversations.
Yes.
But I think that's where most of the anger is coming from.
But we can challenge.
I think that's where most of the anger. I think that's where most of the anger is coming from. Being Black American specific is the issue. Because if Kamala and Drake were Black Americans, even how their phenotype or skin tone or hair texture, however it show up, if both their parents were here, it wouldn't be an issue.
But here's the thing, y'all. We are supposed to be the great American melting pot, right? When all of a sudden did this become a problem where immigrants didn't come here? This is a country where we all came here except for the Native Americans. So what's wrong with having someone who has different ancestry from being born here on American soil from this at all? I mean, I know that there are stipulations for being a president, and I understand those. But at some point, that reality of what they keep saying, what's going to happen, is not going to be a point, because those things we've moved away from. We've had children here on our soil. We've moved away. We've come back. We've brought in other countries. We've done this. We've done that. At what point do we take this to a different level and stop with this stupidity of who's Black and who's not? You're right. The intention is behind it, and I was coming straight to you, Tiara. Go ahead. What you got?
I was like, you preaching, and and I got something to add to that. But you preaching.
Go.
I love that.
Go.
Okay, so I hear you, and I hear everyone. I just want to add this to the conversation. One of my best friends is Indian. She is her mother's side of the family is Hindu. She has been on our show, on our platform before. Her mother is Hindu. Her Indian side of the family is very Indian. Her dad is from Alabama. And watching her very best friend, we've been friends for over 20 years, right? When I listen to her Indian family, I've heard them refer to her as a nigger. I've heard them discriminate against her. I've heard them talk down on her. I mean, this girl went to USC, graduated, and did all of the things, right? And it still just wasn't good enough, right? So I think sometimes I'm glad that you've done the work, Athena, but a lot of immigrants come here and they come here with prejudices. We've had conversations about Africans coming to America and looking down on African Americans. We've talked about Asians coming and doing the same thing. So I think there's something about people that are not from here that come here and then have this this negative lens of what Black people are and who we are. And so if I'm thinking the way my best friend grew up, right, and watching how they were like, girl, don't bring no Black man up in here. You better bring a white man up in here. Me just thinking about what Kamala has done, right? Like, just from out, I'm not saying that this happened, but I just know I can see what the Indian experience has been for the last 20 years. It's like, don't bring no Black man up in here. You better go achieve. I don't care what you have to do it. If you got to step on somebody's back to do it, you can do it. I mean, I've just seen all of that. And so I hope that's not her experience, but it kind of makes me just think, like, if you grew up in that kind of household and you couldn't bring Montel Williams home, you had to bring Jewish husband home, it just kind of changes the intention of it all. Like, I'm gonna just do what I have to do to get where I have to be. And so it just comes off inauthentic to me.
And I think that's an excellent point for us to pull these stats, because let's look at some of the stats when it comes to mixed heritage and how certain cultures look at certain things. So Black multiracial, 69% say most people would view them as Black or African American. They also have a set of experiences, attitudes, and social interactions that are much more closely aligned to the Black community. Asian multiracial, a different pattern emerges among biracial white and Asian adults. They feel more closely connected to whites than Asians. And American Indian multiracial. This group represents the largest section of multiracial adults. Now, that right there, y'all, is mind-blowing, because most people think when you say multiracial, they automatically think Black and white. Only 22% say they have a lot in common with American Indian heritage, and 61% say they have a lot in common with whites. So this, guys, proves exactly what we're talking about experience. So 39%, only 4 in 10, check that out. That's really a little stat right there. 4 in 10 adults with a mixed racial background say they consider themselves to be mixed race or multiracial. 61% say they don't consider themselves to be multiracial. And this is where we get the people like Amber Rose, right? Then when asked why they don't identify, 47% say it's because they look like one race. We talked about also, passing. Identical share say that they were raised as one race. 39% say they closely identify with a single race. And 34% say they never knew the family member or ancestor who was a different race. Now, I do want to kind of touch on this, y'all, because I do have some experience in this, all right? My birth mother is white. My birth mother got into some trouble. She was a little tumbleweed and she was a little wild one. So she got into some trouble and she gave me to my father's sister, okay? Black, raised black, identified black, raised by black women. That's my experience. Now, I have a cousin who was pretty much close, similar in age. We're about 4 years apart. My brother, who was much, much older than me, married a white woman. So she is multiracial. However, they separated and they divorced. She was raised with her white mom. So she identifies as white, does not, I repeat, does not ignore her black side, but her experience is different than mine. Do you think that we are playing into this role where we can pick and choose to blame someone for their heritage, even though it's not their choice? We can't go back and say, don't y'all get married and fall in love and have me, because it might be a problem. How are we playing into this? Constance, I want to hear your thoughts on this, because I know you blackity black, and I'll be like that too. Yes.
No, I when I think about the entire conversation, I do think it's a trick of the enemy to divide and conquer, to separate us, to have us arguing over the stupidest thing. Now, at the end of the day, we know that Kamala is the most qualified to run this country. Point blank. That's just the bottom line. But when we start getting in the weeds and saying who can be black and who can't and how they identify and having a problem, if your niece says she's white and she's happy being white, and even though the police might pull her over and they might mistake her for being a black woman, that's on her. That's her business. But it's not my job to judge her in whatever you identify as. So I think Black people, we need to work on just trying to unify ourselves, just being one voice, and stop worrying about who ain't this and who ain't that, and people trying to infiltrate and pander and all of those things. I think we just really need to be more on code with who we are as a people to try to unite. That's the only thing that's going to get us ahead. You know, that African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That's the only way we're going to get there. But we keep arguing over the stupidest shit that's keeping us divided. And we gotta get it together. Those who want to be on board, be black, hey, take a ride with us. If you don't, go on over there with the white folks.
What's my favorite quote? If you can't help, don't harm.
I love that. I wrote that down too.
I mean that. Like, if you can't keep your mouth shut, be quiet, right? I love it. Dennis Spraggins, hey, listen, I'm with you. He says, we can learn a lot from squirrels. The black squirrel don't dislike the brown squirrels. The gray squirrel don't hate the white squirrel. That's true. Now, everybody want to know what Kamala's father looks like. Here he is. He looks like he's a melanated person to me. I don't understand where the confusion is on that one. There he is.
Got nappy hair.
There you go. They're like wool. And
that's the first place we pan to is the hair to see if he really.
That's right. They want to look in the kitchen and see if it's got a certain texture in the back. And then Nikki Dreadlock says, Athena just says she ain't even have to think about being black till she came to stateside. That's something we
I
need.
wish I could go back and
think about it. Mostly everybody in Jamaica is black. So
Yeah, that's why I ain't
yeah.
had to think about it as
Yeah.
a
So you go to Africa, ain't nobody thinking about being black because everybody in Africa is black.
yeah.
That's
So
right.
over here
That's
it's
right.
like, oh,
But here, we've had to fight for so long. We've had to struggle. We've had to overcome so much for so long that it is in the forefront of everything we do. Unfortunately, the first thing that they're going to look at when we go for a job is what color we are. So we got to change our name. We can't have the most ethnic names. We got to, worry about when we walk in a room. So now if I'm code switching and I'm on the phone with you and I'm talking very professionally, when I go in and they see my black face, what are they going to do? Oh my God, I'm sorry. The job is no longer available. We just hired somebody. So we have to overcome all of these things as black people in general. And so for those of you who want to identify as white, good luck. Because when your black ass walk up in that job and in that interview, or if you get pulled over by the police, you're going to be just as black as the rest of us.
And that's when you're going to find out. Exactly. You want to know what's very interesting is I was having a conversation with some, because I am just loving that I have having a conversation with people around the world now. We were talking about this experience in America because one of my Italian friends didn't get it. She was like, why do y'all focus on this stuff? And then we ended up talking about license. And I showed her on my license, it says I'm black, right? She goes, what? She thought that was the most ridiculous thing she had ever heard in her life, because in her country, they don't even put that down. So you see from the very beginning, the whole slave mentality and the separation, because Master Show could slip up in there, but you wasn't his child. You were just now a part of his chattel. And we still play into that with the lighter you being the house Negro and the darker being in the fields. But we all still blackly black, because the one in the house could be sold just as quick as the one in the field. Y'all better check yourself with that truth. You are watching Fly Nubian Money. We are here Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talk about a lot of good things. This conversation is hot. We are loving the comments. Keep them coming, because we love talking with you, not at you. And if you don't want to miss an episode, you need to make sure that you text the word Queens to 87948. And then go ahead, go on over to Spotify, because we talking about you not missing an episode. You can go over there and make sure that you subscribe to Fly Nubian Money as well. So ladies, I think that this is a really hot topic. This could go on forever and ever, but I want to talk about what we can do, and I want to engage our audience in these answers to these questions as well. What can we do within our own community to change this narrative? I want to know, in what ways can we push back against the divisive narrative within our communities? Dr. Lene?
The divisive narrative of race, or the divisive narrative
Race.
specifically around Kamala Harris not being black and all these other things?
I think it all ties in. Let's say race.
Unity. Like, we make it very easy for the others to distract us by not sticking up for each other, not showing up for each other, not stepping in, taking the bait. Like, if we could just get on one accord around one thing, like just one thing. We can't really even get on one accord around who we are. Are we black? Are we Negro? Are we colored? Are we African American? Is it the black diaspora? Like, we can't even get online with that. So to have these conversations about who is black and who's not black, and then to base it on how they were brought up. If a woman is white and the dad is black, and the child grows up in the white mom's house, does the child then not be black? If the woman is black and the dad is white, but the child grows up in the mother's house, is the child now black? It's the same dynamics, a black parent and a white parent.
I've heard Kamala say that her mom was very clear that she was raising two black women.
Yes.
I've said that too.
Yep.
Yes. And she actually made sure she exposed them to as much as she knew how to do that.
And a lot of white women do that because they know, hey, even, white mothers and fathers I've seen. Hey, I know that when you go out in the streets, they don't care that you got one white parent. So I need to make sure that I expose you to as much as that heritage as I possibly can. And that is actually the smart thing to do.
But and I've talked about this before, and I don't even know if this is appropriate here, but I'm gonna still tell it. What started me on a downward spiral of low self-esteem and self-hatred was from a mixed kid. His name was, I'm gonna say it, David Herbert. And his mom was black, and his mom was black, and his dad was white. I was in 6th grade. First little boyfriend, first little kiss, walking me home. His nickname for me was Big Black and Ugly. He used to call me BB and U.
Wow.
And his mom was black, and his dad was white. So is that the black experience? Did that make him more black because he had a black mom?
Oh, God. It makes you wonder what went on behind closed doors.
Right.
You know, because sometimes the same thing, guys, it's very well known, Lenny Kravitz. He had a horrible experience as well with his parents being married. It is very well known that his father was not kind to his mother. Okay. You know, his mother was Roxy Roker. And so he grew up with that experience as well. You never know no one knew that until years later. So you don't know what the experience is behind the closed doors, but it had to be something ugly, Dr. Lene, or else that part would not have come out of him. You learn that from somewhere. You don't just come to that on your own. You learn that somewhere. But you opened up a door about something that is really interesting, because now you're talking about a white parent and a black parent. But what about when, just like Zoe Kravitz, we talked about Lenny. Lisa Bonet is mixed, and so is Lenny. So now she also has been thrown into the mix, saying she ain't nowhere near black enough. And they're blaming the parents for having her. So, you know, you just can't pick and choose, and you can never win on either side.
That's the dumbest shit ever. Let's just stick with the one drop rule.
Exactly. One drop rule sound good to me, right?
Call it a day. Y'all made it up.
Made it up. You made it up. This is what we're sticking to. I don't care. Whatever.
This is the script. Right
but we do have. Go ahead.
You know what? So Zoe Saldana did. I wrote down, because you mentioned her earlier. She had a quote. She says, "There's no one way to be black. I'm black the way I know how to be." And so at this point, I think everybody is just having that experience. Like when I'm thinking about half and half and who's this and who's that, you know, I think everybody is trying to do the best that they can and
you
embrace.
think about it. I'm sorry. You think about it. They equate being black with having a hood experience. You know, that's something that my kids didn't have. And my kids is, you know, their mama is black, itty black. We grew up in very, very nice neighborhoods. We was in California, we was the only black people in our neighborhood. And so because they didn't have a hood experience, does that mean that they're not black enough? Nah, pimpin'.
Exactly.
No. Yeah, that's not
the experience. Is not the way. I mean,
but that's what they associate. That's what they associate
Yeah.
blackness with, and black people associate blackness with having a hood experience, and that drives me mad as well. We come from all different walks of life. We have all different types of experience, and I'm grateful that I moved out here to the DMV, because now I'm in a neighborhood. Like I said, it's like the one I lived in California, but everybody's black. Everybody, you know, it's a country club community. I go to the doctor. My physician is black. I go to the dentist. My dentist is black. The CEOs of companies black. You know, the mayors and the county executives and all of these prominent black people that you don't get to experience everywhere. But those are they do have those experiences, and I want black people to understand, especially that we do have those experiences as well. But it's just our experience is not just centralized to hood experiences, and we got to get out of that. We as black people, I don't give a damn what they think about us, but we need to get out of that.
I agree. We have some great comments. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just going to say this real quick. Another thing that I think I see, or we see as we were going through the slides, is when we're talking about famous black people or people of notoriety, it's always half black.
Exactly.
All those slides, half black. Like they got to take a little bit of credit. They will show up and take credit for something beautiful, famous, wealthy. This person is half black, opposed to when it's not, and they're black or they're African American. I forgot that was something I used to peep game with. Like say like that Quincy Jones image with him. I don't know if that was Rashida or the other one, but this half black.
Yeah, they feed us what they want to for more division. That's just extremely clear. When they make the narrative and they feed it to the masses, and then they let the piranha feed, right? We have some really good comments. Rupert says Kamala's mother's skin tone causes issues in India in the Brahm family.
They have that.
Yep, that's why she came to the States young. Miss Chevy, I am going to address you because I just need to address this. Now, you done said, Kamala, if we vote Kamala and we dangerous, we all in danger. We in dangerous, and our grandchildren and our children. Baby, we in danger now. They are killing us left and right. We got targets on our back. So I'm not worried about that because you know what? They already doing it. What I want is it to stop. So yeah, no, that's not something. That's a scare tactic. Please don't fall into that.
And
Charlie,
it doesn't matter who's in the office. That's who's in the
not at
presidency
all.
does not.
Not at
Yeah,
all.
we can go the direction of fear, or we can go the direction of power. So I choose to go in the direction of power, regardless of what
So
nationality
do
or
I.
color
So
she
do
is.
I.
Hey, can
So
we
do I.
show that video that
Yes.
Kamala was talking about?
Yes. Can we do that? This is such a topic. I'm telling y'all, we can talk for
I'm going for
hours.
days.
Hours.
Absolutely.
Let's keep the game though.
And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the Lift Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of Black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects Black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit Black children, Black families, Black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country. Right?
And that goes back to, remember we talked about DEI a couple of weeks ago when they said how DEI, if you have more equity and inclusion, it affects the general economy. So what will help us is going to actually help everybody anyways. But everybody's so wrapped up into that one piece where she says, no, I'm not going to specifically only help Black people. Well, don't take it out of context. Y'all do that just like y'all do the Bible.
Pick and choose.
Listen, the Bible.
Rotate and throw the dart.
I love that. Let me just say that because I'm the one that brought this up. And so I love that we played that. And Constance, thank you for pointing that out for me. I want to see more of this and less because every time I see Kamala, she's like laughing. And I haven't heard anything that I haven't heard her stance on a lot of things. And so I got a list not too long ago, and I have to fact check all of the things of everything that she's done for Black people as a senator, as a prosecutor, and obviously as a vice president. And so I want to fact check that before I bring it to the table. But I'm glad that this you showed. Thank you for bringing that up.
I think it's all in context. And the one thing that I love though, Tiara, is, and I preach this, please don't just go and spew things that you don't know and haven't researched for yourself, because that is what is going on a lot of the times. We get fed these narratives and we just take it and run instead of actually going to check what the real truth is about what was said and what their track record is. I can't encourage you and everybody enough to do this because it is extremely, extremely important.
But that's why also, Lala, you have all the people in there still saying that she Indian. Like y'all, she didn't say I'm Black. We didn't show pictures of her being Black. We didn't sit we've done everything to show you that the woman is Black, and you guys still won't take. How long did it take you, Gwen, for you to get that? All of 5 seconds to Google that shit? Like it's there, but people want to believe whatever they want to believe anyway. So it's just like I'm sitting here like I just want to bang my head up against the wall because it's like, y'all Negroes still don't get it. Y'all just want to find
Yeah.
or want to believe what you want to believe.
Yeah. And that part, you're never going to change people's minds if they don't want to open their mind. And this is why I tell people politically, all this arguing back and forth politically, you're never going to change the ones who have already drunk the Kool-Aid for either side, whether it's the red Kool-Aid or the blue Kool-Aid. Somebody's drinking Kool-Aid. Somebody in the middle is going to have to drink the purple Kool-Aid and figure out what's true and what's not true. You're never going to change the ones who are die hard. This is such a great conversation. And guys, we've actually already hit our hour.
Oh my God, I could talk about this all day.
I just can't. This is so crazy. I want to keep going so bad, but I am going to throw a question to each of you, and I would love for you to answer it, and then make sure that with your final thoughts, and please make sure that you tell us how we can find you. How do we educate others, both within and outside of our community, about the complex and multifaceted nature of Black identity? Athena, first.
Lord, I feel like that's a loaded question. How do we when it comes to Black identity? Well, I think the best way to educate people is through example and how you live and lead your life, right? As someone who, I'm definitely Black, obviously, but I have made it a point to, within even my friendships, right, my relationships, I have Black friends, white friends, Indian friends, Asian friends. I never shy away from topics and conversations about race, and I don't delineate my true views on it either, and I'm not trying to massage white guilt or any other guilt either. Right. So I do have these kind of conversations with people when the opportunity arises themselves to have those conversations. So I think that's how we can start, just like how we queens have had these conversations today. You guys can have that conversation within your community and the people who come across when those situations arise. My final thoughts are this, right? I think we need to get to a point where, I'm not saying that we need to abandon race issues because we can't, because we live in this country. So race is always going to be a factor, but not always having race as the forefront of everything in our mind. Because even when it comes to Kamala and Trump and that whole election, right? And I'm using this as an example. I said to myself, let me take her race off the table. Let me take Donald Trump's race off the table. Just on agenda alone, who am I rocking with? And I think we're getting so caught up with Kamala being not Black American that it really doesn't matter at the end of the day, because it's not like Trump is Black anyway. So let's just, focus on what is the most important. And I think as Black people, we just need to adopt that kind of mentality. I've always said that I wish I can just go back to not having to think about race, but it's a kind of stress that just happens when you just live in America, unfortunately. My name is Athena Garner. I'm a CPA and wealth coach. You can find me at wewealthwomen.com, at wewealthwomen on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And you can listen to me at the We Wealth Women podcast. Check out my website for any courses that will help you confidently manage your finances and increase your wealth.
Thank you, Athena. We appreciate you being here, Queen. Constance, your final thoughts, and where can we find you?
I say we just go back to the one drop rule. Everybody who got a drop of Black in them is Black. Simple. So you could either vote for, something that is forward moving, or you can go back to making America great again, which the way they thought America was great was back when you had the Red Summer of the 1930s, when Black people were lynched across the nation at record numbers. You can go back to make America great again when there was Jim Crow and Black people being discriminated against, redlining and predatory lending. That's what they want you to go back to. So you can go ahead and vote for that. I think that'd be great. Or you can move forward and look at something new and different. People talk about, Democrats versus Republicans. I just think that we should look at unity versus disunity versus fear, because that is what the alternative is spewing, is simply fear. And that's not, I don't rock with that. So especially Black men, I feel really bad because a lot of Black men have taken on, the talking points of the right wing, political psychotic folks, and you've taken on those same talking points, and we're so wrapped up in what nationality she is, rather than looking at how it's going to move the country forward. Do we want to go to giving the police immunity for killing our sons? I got 3 of them. I don't want that. Do we want to go to Project 2025? Not at all. So that's what we need to look at as a whole. And then I think that we can really look at our community as a whole and try to be insulated like other races are if we start working together and practicing collective economics. That's the true way that we can be insulated from all this bullshit, y'all. So how can you reach me? You can find me everywhere that I am Constance Carter. I'm actually doing tonight B1 Real Estate Mastery. I've partnered with Dr. Boyce Watkins. We have the B1 Real Estate Mastery training going on tonight. If you are interested in becoming a real estate investor, I happen to build the largest Black-owned real estate firm in California, and I've helped thousands of people become real estate investors and build their wealth through real estate. So if you're interested in that, I'd be happy to have you. Number 2, I have for Black women, the Net 7 Collective. Oh my God, that is so amazing. This is my 4th cohort where I'm helping Black women to increase their net worth to 7 figures. If you are interested in that, go to my website, go to bookwithconstance.com to register for that. We start that next week, and we are pretty much almost all the way full. And 3rd, I just today announced that I was going to be doing a Weekend of Wealth in-person 2-day retreat that I'm super excited about right here in the DMV. And this is for men and women and anybody who really wants to transform their lives. It's a whole weekend with me, lots of VIP stuff going on, but you're going to really shift your mindset. And that's here in the DMV. And that's September 13th and 14th. You can go to eventbrite.weekendofwealth.com.
You got a lot going on, don't
Yes,
you,
ma'am.
Queen? Yes, we love that.
At the end of the day, it's about that money, y'all.
Money's green. So there you go. Tiara, can we please get your final thoughts and where we can find you?
For sure. I think for me, it's just going to be the intention. Like I started this conversation, I just want to see what, in terms of what the intention. I heard what she said in the interview, right? But I think if we're talking about political things, I think, I just want to see what's going to be done. Like what can be done? How can you move the needle forward? If it's about everybody and Black people benefit and they're sprinkling something in. I just want that same energy that, like someone in the comments said, there was an specific Asian crime bill. I just want to see that Black crime bill too. I want to see, if it ain't a whole reparations, I want something that we can benefit from. And I don't care what nobody say. I'm going to stand on that. And so at some point we have to demand that people give that to us. We don't have these expectations. It's always like, it's okay, but when are we gonna start asking? When? She went to the AKAs and said, look, sisters, look, Soros, I need this. And they literally jump started her campaign, Black Women to the Rescue. And so I'm just saying that we should be able to come back and say, sis, we need you to hold it down here with education in our communities. We need you to hold it down here with, fixing up entrepreneurship with Black people. We need that. So those are my thoughts, and I'm gonna stand on those. So hopefully, she is like us after all. Hopefully, she's like us, Jesus. My name is Tiara KJ Williams, also known as Miss Black Hollywood. I am a producer and actress. I'm also an entrepreneur. I believe that storytelling is the baseline for every successful business. I happen to have spent the last 25 years of my life mastering storytelling as a producer and all the things. I live in Hollywood. This is what I do. I also help entrepreneurs do that with their business. So if you are interested, I'm at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net.
She does all the things. So make sure that you hit her up.
Did you say REEL? You said REEL, right?
REEL, like a movie reel.
Make sure they got it right.
That's right. And if you put the connection together, y'all, she is the one who's running the show. Hot and heavy. Dr. Lene, your turn. What's your final thoughts and where can we find you?
So I want to focus on not Drake or Kamala. I want to focus on the not like us part of this conversation. We are crazy divided, and we're using our cultural experiences to dictate who is Black. To me, Joseph put a post comment that said United States, US equals Black folks. So only if you live in the United States and have the United States experience do you get to consider yourself a Black folk. And I think that that's one of the reasons why when we go to other countries, they hate us. And that's the reason why when they come to our country, they hate us, because we act like we have the end all be all Black experience on lock. Like nobody else is having the same experiences that we're having. Racism is everywhere. Not liking Black folks is everywhere. Being treated like you're less than, that's everywhere. Having to do more for less, that's everywhere. Having to jump through hoops to try to beat on our chest to say we're valuable, we can do the job, we don't need DEI, that's everywhere. We in the United States don't get the wand to say that this is what being Black is. This is what the experience is. When we think about they're not like us, they come from African descent. We all come from African descent. Hung out at our grandma's house during the summertime, played with our cousins, braided each other's hairs, talk like it's how do we get to dictate? I don't know if it's gonna let me do it, Gwen. It says that I can share my screen, and it's not okay. It's not gonna let me do it. I really wanted to share the image of Kamala at her dad's family's house. It's her.
Present right there.
I hit present,
and you should be able to share it. You go
share screen. Share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so let me see if it's the window. This one right here. There we go. Share. Boom. Sharing the show. Can you share it in the show for me? There you go. This is her family over there. Those is Black folks. This is the 70s. It looks like that's what it looked like at my people's house on the parties with the family. That's what it looked like. Little Black kids, maybe some neighborhood kids. Like the not like us part, we need to figure out what we want like us to be, how we want it, what we want it to be based on. I'm gonna stop sharing now. What we want it to be based on, and then start to build that unity, start to build that community. How do we make more of the Black experience like us? If somebody talks like me and they're a Valley girl and they grew up in the suburbs, why can't I be Black enough? Like I grew up not feeling like I was Black enough to a point that when I got to a certain age, I had to start seeking out these Black connections so that I could validate my Blackness, because I grew up in Black communities, but I have 2 Black parents. So what is like us? That's it. That's the piece of this message that I want to focus on. I'm Dr. Lene Javette. I am a business coach. I'm a monetization strategist. I specifically go out of my way, pick and choose Black people, Black entrepreneurs to work with, to go against our stereotypes. I wake up every day to make our Black experience better. And I do it through entrepreneurship. I work with service-based entrepreneurs to help them triple their revenue and to brand their brilliance. You can find me right there. I am Dr. Lene Javette.
Thank you, Dr. Lene. And here's my final thoughts. You know, I like to keep it short and sweet because you know what? I could talk about this all day long. I've had an experience. You've had experience. Somebody else in your family's had experience. But one thing I know that my Black is beautiful. And that Black comes in many different shades in our community. We are truly a rainbow. We are unique and we are gold, and we are kings and queens who need to upload and hold others' crowns up and not tear them down. Also, you might want to check yourself because you want to be careful who you hate. It might end up being someone that you love. We face enough shit from the white community. Why should we have to face it from our own people? I am Laura Key. I am an international real estate agent. I focus on the United States of America as well as Portugal. You can find all of my things, all sorts of free things and all sorts of things at this simple little website right here, bit.ly/Laura Key Info. You have been watching Fly Nubian Money. We are so appreciative of you being here. Without you, we wouldn't have all these hot debates that we have. We love the comments. So make sure that you come back. And if you don't want to miss an episode, all you have to do is text the word Queens, Queens, to 87948. And that way you won't miss a show. Then make sure that you take us on the road with you, have coffee with us, have a glass of wine with us. Go on over to Spotify and download us over there at Fly Nubian Money. But I do want to let you know one thing that is important. We love to stress this here to help uplift you. Go to flynubianmoney.com. We have a lot of free courses and financial resources for you to help to get your financial house in order. Ladies, we had such a beautiful conversation today. I loved how we opened minds and we also discussed the things that are on our hearts, as well as what other people are also thinking too. Thank you, Queens. I will see you tomorrow. Don't miss tomorrow's show, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all be blessed. Bye.